Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again it's time for the Texas Gun Vault Poll Question of the Week, a weekly vlog that I put out where I ask you, as my viewers and subscribers, about something that deals with guns, gun culture, politics, current events, the news, or something fun like EDC that I want to get your thoughts and opinions on. And this week's question asks a what-if scenario. Mainly, I want to see where your policy positions align, because in the past I've asked similar questions about compromise and saying, if we gave up something, what would you really want to get in return? Because every time we talk to anti-gunners, they always say that we never compromise, because their idea of compromise is they get everything they want and we give up everything. So essentially we always lose. And when I've asked those questions, I said, what would you want to get in return for giving something up, like a universal background check? Most of the time when people answered, they would say something like national reciprocity. That got overwhelming votes in those previous polls. However, we live in a different world today where the anti-gunners are pushing for very draconian things where they want to ban everything. And so have people's policy priorities changed? And that's what I wanted to ask. Now, I know there's always going to be the party poopers who don't understand rhetorical questions and don't understand the what if scenario. They're going to put in the comments section, all gun laws are infringement, shall not be infringed, I won't comply. It's like, I know, I totally get it. However, this is a what if scenario. It's a thought experiment. It's not really reality and what's going to happen. But I just wanted to ask this question to see if your policy priorities have changed in light of all of the recent events. So with that in mind, let's dive right into this week's poll question, get your results, and then we're going to talk about it. With this week's question, I would like to ask about a what-if scenario. With so many potential Pro-2A victories on the horizon, it got me thinking about the biggest wins we could have. I also wondered where my subscribers' policy priorities would be. So this week I am asking a hypothetical and what-if question. If we could immediately have a huge legislative or judicial victory, which policy, law, rule would you want to see enacted or passed? However, in this hypothetical scenario, the other policies, laws, rules would remain on the books for years. And once again, yes, I understand we want to see all of these things removed and we want absolute victory, but I wanted to ask you, where would your policy priorities lie? And so I have to tell you, I was very surprised by this week's results, because in the past, as I said, national reciprocity always got the overwhelming number of votes. However, it looks like it's something different this week. So let's see what you guys had to say with this week's results. With 210 votes as I am filming this video, we have national reciprocity. You can carry in all 50 states, 16%. All assault weapons bans ruled unconstitutional. No more gun bans, 49%. Silencers removed from the NFA and legal in all states, 18%. Hughes Amendment repealed. New machine guns are legal again, 14%, and all ATF rules redefining accessories ruled unconstitutional, 3%. Now, I know there are many other things that we want to win on, but I kind of felt like these were the hot button issues that for the most part, when it comes to the great compromise, as I call it, when dealing with anti-gunners, or the things that we really want, these are the big policy platforms. And I was very surprised by the results. It looks like a lot more people are now seeing it the way that I have always saw it. And that is, the assault weapons bans are the biggest thing, because once they start to ban anything, they will try to ban everything. But in the past, people cared more about national reciprocity. But let's go through each one of these and I'll give you guys my personal thoughts and opinions. First, we have national reciprocity. You can carry in all 50 states. And I have to say that since the Bruin decision and the carry change to the laws, I think that the number of people voting for this has diminished, because now we have states, or essentially all states in some capacity, are shall issue. So we have won this one, but we haven't gotten national reciprocity. And even the people that live in the states behind enemy lines, the New Jerseys, the New Yorks, the Californias, they still have to deal with these very weird laws when it comes to even trying to get your permit. Now, we are still fighting those, and hopefully we're going to win those and win those very soon. And national reciprocity would also go a long way. It'd be nice to know that my Texas concealed permit is valid in New York City. Maybe one day we will get there, but for a lot of us, we're not really traveling around the country 365. So we're fine if maybe I can't carry New York, because I can't even remember the last time I was in New York. So it really doesn't bother me. So maybe this is more of a personal bias thing, but for me, national reciprocity hasn't always been on the top of the list. I definitely want it, but I care about other things more. Then we have all assault weapons bans ruled unconstitutional. No more gun bans. And as I said, I've always thought this one was the biggest encroachment on the Second Amendment, because once you start to ban something, then you go down the slippery slope and you can ban anything. Because I'm telling you, once they ban assault weapons, then they're going to be like, well, now the mass killers are using this type of gun. That's now an assault weapon. We have to ban that, and so forth. It just keeps going and going and going. And then they're going to redefine your hunting rifle as a sniper rifle. And then that has to be banned. They'll have sniper rifle bans and so forth, and it will never end and never end. Once you get the 10-round capacity limit, well, once there's a mass tragedy event where somebody uses 10-round capacity magazines, that's way too much. We need to have 5-round capacity magazines, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And so the bans are the absolute worst. We have to put our foot down, and I'm so glad to see that almost 50% of the respondents in this poll voted for this one. Then we have silencers removed from the NFA and legal in all states. And to me, this one would be amazing. Not just because I love silencers, but because they really are protective equipment. You know, in many other countries that we consider to be very anti-gun, they actually allow silencers because they consider them to be polite. They're not considered to be these dangerous weapons. In some places, you can even buy them over the counter in hardware stores across the world because they're just silencers. No one cares about them. They just make guns hearing safe. They're polite. I would love to see this because there's way too much regulation over something that's not even a firearm. Then we have the Hughes Amendment repealed. New machine guns are legal again. And I would love to see this as well. But I know there's a lot of people out there that are heavily invested in transferable machine guns that, while they say they would like to see it, I don't think they really would, because their $40,000 or $50,000 investment would almost become worthless overnight. Yeah, those older guns would definitely still be worth money, but they're going to lose a lot of value. But to be honest with you, I think when the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed, and we have court cases going all the way back to the Miller case that says, well, only guns that are useful in malicious service are protected, well, machine guns are definitely that. Now, whether or not they should be on the NFA is another thing, but the whole machine gun ban, I don't like it, and that sets a terrible precedent for them to ban the further production and transfer of certain things on the NFA in the future. Short-barreled rifles, shotguns, you name it, because they're like, well, we already have the precedent of machine guns, now we can do it to the next thing. I'm tired of gun bans. And then finally, we have all ATF rules redefining accessories ruled unconstitutional. I actually thought this one was going to get way more than just 3%, because this deals with the braces, it deals with FRT triggers, it deals with the 80% receivers, and all these things that they're trying to do right now would be ruled unconstitutional, and the ATF would have to go back into their lane and just enforce the law as written, but only 3%. So I do have to say, very surprised at the results, but I am happy that people said the assault weapons bans have to go, because that's the one that I would have personally voted for. So that's what I think about all these. So let's dive into the top rated comments this week and see what you guys had to say. And for our top rated comment of the week, we have Cookie Monster 1969, who says, for me, national reciprocity is the most important because I am in Minnesota once a month, followed closely by number 2, the banning of tools needs to stop. But we need an all-of-the-above option. Now, I understand we need an all-of-the-above option, but that's not the whole point of this. This was the what-if rhetorical scenario that's not going to happen, no matter what. Even if we had an all options, I know we're for all options, but this is the one to see where your priorities lie. Then we have Litzine Zoots, who said, I like the thought of removing suppressors from the NFA. It just seems to be the easiest to make happen. And honestly, I kind of agree. It'd be a huge win. And then once we remove those, we can then make a case for the public and go, see, nothing happened. There was no blood running in the streets. And that would make it easy for us to go back on all these other things and say, see all these bans? They're absolutely stupid. Then we have Brian Edgett 2134 who said, this is the first step to remove the NFA, in my opinion. And yes, the NFA is honestly the worst gun law on the books in the US. I know some people may disagree, but it honestly is, because in the future, while the NFA says certain things now, they can always amend it in the future to add handguns, AR-15s, semi-automatic rifles, and so forth. The NFA has to go. Then we have Tusk Tacked, who says, the ATF absolutely needs to be reined in. That's the most important boots on the ground fight. And I definitely think there's a huge case to be made for this, because this is really where the Second Amendment battle is today. We have anti-gun administrations using the ATF as a regulatory agency and redefining things on a whim. Well, we don't like that. Let's get creative with our language and ban everything. And through not even having to pass a bill through Congress, they're getting everything that they want. And that's why I said I kind of thought that option 5 was going to get way more than just 3% of the votes. And then finally, we have Master Failure, who says, I think a national reciprocity will be the best option simply because it will help expand the ownership populace more than the other options. With more owners, people will be more knowledgeable and will make future legislation less dumb. And that honestly is a brilliant point that I wasn't thinking about. Yes, that is true. We could bring in more people to the Second Amendment with the national reciprocity law. And hopefully we're going to get that one day, because honestly, I understand how much passion I have for the NFA, maybe you have for the NFA, but for most people, they don't care about silencers, machine guns, short-barreled rifles as much. But national reciprocity, well, that's something that's really going to bring in a lot of the people in the middle, the average gun people, and yes, that would really help us in the long run. So really interesting results this week. I was not expecting the assault weapons ban one to win. I thought the national reciprocity was going to win, but it looks like a lot of you have now changed your mind, maybe because of being in a post-Bruin world. Very enlightening. And maybe I need to bring this poll back in another year or two and see if your policy priorities have changed. So that is the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. Another what-if scenario, and I really appreciate all of you participating and voting. And if you guys want to participate in next week's poll, I'm going to put a link in the description as well as a pinned comment, and it's on the community tab of my YouTube channel. So please go over there, make sure that you see what next week's poll is about, you vote, you comment, and you like other people's comments so we can get the top-rated comments of the week. So it looks like a lot of you guys want the gun bans to go. And that's what I want to see too, because too many states are trying to enact these things. They're trying to be cute with wordplay and trying to get around the Bruin decision by throwing these temper tantrums. And it has to stop. And hopefully the Supreme Court is going to step in here pretty soon. So maybe one day, and one day soon, the Second Amendment will flourish even more than it already is here in the United States. So let me know what you think about this week's poll, and do you agree with the results? Let's have a great discussion in the comments. So, as always, thanks for watching.